Welcome as tenants at Kaching Property Group. Congratulations on being chosen to rent from us. Before signing in the lease agreement contract, we will go through the formalities, and after discussing the residential tenancy agreement and sign the contract, we'll hand you your set of keys, and you'll be able to move in. The residential tenancy agreement is a legal contract. It states the property address, the term of the lease, and the rental amount you are required to pay. It states the owner's full name, your names, your former address, and the start and end date of the contract. Also included is the number of people permitted to live in the property. Remember, this is a legal contract, and all the terms must be followed. The bond is lodged with the bond administrator and is generally the equivalent of 4 weeks' rent. Lodgement is electronic, and you will receive an email and text message from the bond administrator which you are required to respond to, and that authorizes the deposit of the agreed amount. If you are allowed to have a pet, the pet bond will also be included in this amount. Your tenancy is governed by the Residential Tenancies Act, and there is provision to review the rent every 6 months, and the conditions of review are stipulated in this contract. The lease will state what utility providers you should contact to connect electricity and gas supplies. Water consumption is paid by the owner and recovered by us from you. The lease is for a fixed term, and if for any reason you need to vary this, you must liaise with our office so we can find alternate tenants. A detailed property condition report will be handed to you within 7 days of you moving into the property. It is important that you mark up any differences and return the form to our office. Before you move in, you must pay 2 weeks' rent in advance. After that, you can pay your rent calendar monthly, fortnightly, or weekly. Please note that rent must always be paid in advance of the due date. Rent is payable using the MePay method of payment. You are also liable for water consumption at the property. This may not apply in some strata situations. A final water meter reading will be done before you move in. You also need to connect the electricity and gas, if just connected to the property. We can assist you by providing forms to this directly. If you are moving into a strata property, certain regulations apply, and a copy of the standard bylaws are attached to this agreement. The chief may require you to park in your allocated car park, not hang washing on the balcony, keep noise to a minimum, not store your belongings on a common property, and generally adhere to the bylaws. The owner will pay council and water rates and strata levies. The owner must also keep the premises insured. If there's ever a claim on the insurance and you are responsible, you may be asked to pay an excess. These insurance, however, does not cover a tenant's contents. You are responsible for this. Once you've signed the contract and you've paid the bond and rent, you will be able to take possession of the property on the start date of the lease. At least one full set of keys and electronic devices will be given to the tenant. The property can only be used as residential premises and not for any illegal purpose or other purpose without written approval from the owner. In turn, the owner must keep the property in good repair, and all fixtures and fittings provided at commencement must be maintained by the owner throughout the course of the tenancy. There is provision for emergency repairs, and briefly, if the owner fails to respond to your request to repair an essential service within 24 hours or 48 hours, in case of general maintenance issues, you have the ability to arrange these yourself. However, we urge you to use caution and first discuss these options with our office. We conduct regular inspections of the property. The first is 6 weeks after you move in, and then every 3 months. We require to give you written notice at least 7 days and no more than 14 days before that inspection. These notices can be emailed to you. If the date and time doesn't suit, you're able to call our office to arrange another time. You are not permitted to alter the property in any way. This includes hanging pictures, painting rooms, moving shrubs, and so on. Always contact our office to discuss your intentions first. Under the Residential Tenancy Acts, there are minimum requirements for locks and security devices, and your property manager will discuss these with you. If you lose your keys, you are liable for the cost of replacement. Our office keeps a spare set of keys. These are not available to you outside working hours. In other words, this means that if you lock yourself out after office hours, then you must call a locksmith. If during the course of your tenancy you need to move, there are penalties which will apply for breaking the lease. Once again, your property manager will discuss these with you and explain what you may be liable for. At the end of the lease, you must give us 30 days notice of your intentions if you are moving out. This must be in writing. The same applies if the owner wants possession at the end of your lease. If your tenancy is ended by us for a breach, your name may be lodged on a tenancy database. If you have any queries or disputes, these can be referred to the Department of Commerce. Form 1A is attached to your lease and forms part of the lease. It outlines the provisions for reviewing the rent, and your property manager will discuss these with you. If you have a pet, there is an attachment to the lease providing for this. No smoking is permitted in the premises. Whilst there may be a telephone point in the property, the owner makes no representation about the availability of telephone lines in the area, and you should make your own inquiries. You are required to keep the premises clean and sanitary and free from dirt, oils, grease, insects, and vermin. The tenant is responsible for treatment of insects and vermin infestation caused by the tenant's lack of cleanliness or activities. If there are items left behind belonging to the owner, for example, curtains, bookcases, and you do not want to use these, they must be stored safely and returned to their positions at the end of the tenancy. The property has compliant smoke alarms and RCDs, and you are required to test these from time to time, and if they are not working, you must give us immediate written notice of the facts. You must also replace any broken light bulbs and fluoro tubes during the course of your tenancy. If there are gardens, you are responsible for maintaining these in the same condition as when you first moved in. You are liable for watering and fertilizing the gardens. If there is a pool or spa, you must keep chemical levels topped up and report any problems to us. You are not permitted to drain the pool without first obtaining permission to do so. You must immediately report any damage or disrepair to us within 72 hours. Failing to do so may make you liable for repairs. At the end of your tenancy, you're responsible for having carpets cleaned and returning the property to its original condition. Rent will be charged until the keys are returned to our office. Our special conditions are attached to this lease and were made available to you with the application form. Once we go through all the terms of the contract, we'll get you to sign the contract. You will be then given a copy to keep, and you will hear from the bond administrator confirming your bond has been deposited. We hope you have a pleasant stay. All the best. Thank you for listening. We look forward to working with you